You want to know a fun fact? Since the
Okay.
last time that we recorded, I went to Forks.
Oh, yeah. Sam's gonna get a shirt that just says, I went to Forks and all I got was this stupid sunburn.
Yeah. Accurate.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Midlight Crisis, a real podcast hosted by three grown-up biologists revisiting books from our teens, and it's totally cool. I am one of your hosts, Sophie, but for today, I have a randomly generated fantasy name, which is a pretty good one, and
Yeah.
it's a little on the line of needing to be bleeped out.
Uh-oh.
Because of the random generation. So my name today is Feckin' Swordworms.
Oh, man. What a name.
What?
I don't even remember how to say that. Feckin'?
My name is Feckin' Swordworms.
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 Yep.
Those freaking
worms that are
swordworms.
Those Feckin' Swordworms. Got my sword again.
Like, my sword's got the worms. The feckin' worms.
That's great.
Yeah, it is spelled Fekin, and then swordworms exactly how you expect it to be sound.
Love that.
I do love worms, but not in my sword.
Eep.
Anyway, that's me. Who are you guys?
Well, my real name is Sam, but today you can call me Purmis Wildsigned.
What? Pure miss?
Purmis Wildsigned.
Wild signed.
Wild
Yeah.
signed.
Purmis.
I swear you said that differently all three times.
Yeah,
I probably did. Ayo.
Permis.
It's Purmus. Wildsigned.
Wow, wild
Permis
signed.
wild signed. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, wild sign sounds like an actual thing,
It does.
but then
Yeah.
you conjugated it. Past tense now.
Past tense.
Yeah.
Great. Well, my name is Hannah, but for the purposes of today's podcast, you can pretend that I've been rereading the Shadow and Bone books, because
Okay.
my randomly generated fantasy name today is Darkling Moonmaster.
What? Everyone's favorite character.
Everyone's favorite
Darkling.
character, Darkling Moonmaster. It's a little on the nose.
Dark Daddy.
No, I'm quiet quitting this podcast.
You can't quiet quit. We're not paying you.
Oh, shit.
It's nice to be recording again where the episode comes out soon. So, like, if we'd been recording this in June instead, people would be like, quiet quitting. That was funny, like, 6 years ago.
Oh, yeah,
point.
I'm pretty sure the next episode that's coming out in late August, Sam is talking about this cool new movie she went to, Top Gun.
Oh yeah, I remember when I listened to that, I was like, "Wow, yeah, this is."
Whoops.
Old.
It's a cool.
In my defense, I think it did get re-released in theaters for a little while. So
did they morb it up? Another timely reference for the people.
Gonna say, oh my, we are actually recording in 2022 in the summer, but
yes,
doesn't sound like it based on these references.
No. Let's morph this into some chapter summaries.
I'm quiet quitting now.
Don't worry, I'm still here, everybody.
Yeah, Sam's doing the podcast by herself. Anyway, what happened? Okay, we're reading 2 chapters of Eragon. It's what we actually are doing and talking about. What happened in them, you guys?
Well, they've obviously gotten to the Varden, and so now we're with the Varden, and guess what? In the glory of, don't judge me, Tronjheim.
Uh-huh.
Got it in one.
Tronjheim. Did I start over?
Yeah, no, you got it. Keep going.
You got it. Try one more time. The first two will definitely get cut out.
Oh, for sure. Yep.
Yep.
So, in the glory of Tronjheim,
Yeah.
our characters wake up.
Wow.
Yeah.
But this is kind of a short summary because a lot of this chapter was just describing the city that is called Tronjheim.
Uh-huh.
We're not going to get into that right now, but our boys and dragon wake up, and Saphira is having an adorable little dream.
Aww.
And the bald man and Oric come to retrieve them, and they start heading to Tronjheim by horseback. But before entering the city, Eragon is asked to ride on... Oh my god, my notes say Eragon. No, he wasn't going to ride on himself. He was going to ride on
Saphira rides on Eragon.
Murtag rides on Eragon's shoulders.
This is going great. Anyways,
Eragon
Eragon rides
Eragon, and this is not
Saphira.
a romance novel.
Oh my god. Eragon is on Saphira as a dragon rider. Nothing weird about that. And they go through the city to meet Ajihad, which is the leader of the Varden, sort of, kind of thing. And then the chapter ends with the anticipation of that. So I don't have much more to say. That was really brutal. But Hannah, you want to tell us about chapter 52?
Oh yeah. Buckle up, folks. It's Morbin time.
No.
No, it's time to meet the leader of the Varden. It's Ajihad. He is an imposing, bald black man with serious eyes and a Dorito body shape, and he somehow recognizes Murtag just by the sound of his voice, because Ajihad met Morzan, who is Murtag's father, one time 23 years ago, and remembers his voice enough to identify his son somehow. Anyway, Murtag tells Ajihad that he won't submit to the mind probing, and Ajihad throws him in jail, then sends everyone else out of the room too, so he can talk to Eragon and Saphira alone. There's a very long conversation covering a lot of plot points that I'm sure we'll get to in more detail later, but some of them include the varied politics of the Varden, dwarves, and elves, how Saphira's egg ended up in Carvajal, and what Eragon can expect now that he is a rider among the Varden. We also hear a little bit about the magic Varden twins, Islanzadi, I just looked up the pronunciation. Islanzadi, the elf queen.
I believed you. You said that so confidently.
Well, that's how I've been pronouncing it to myself for 20 years, so having to change it is really screwing with me.
There.
And Oric, the dwarf, who are all important characters in this franchise, so it's probably important for us to mention that they are here. So
Yeah.
That
sounds good.
So what do we talk about first? I forget how to podcast.
I forget how to podcast. Okay, no.
Everything.
We're talking about Saphira being asleep and having a fun, sleepy dog dream, you know?
Yeah, it's so cute.
Yeah, like, Eragon wakes up to Saphira, like, growling and her eyes wandering sightlessly under her eyelids. He's like, aw, that's cute. And she's just like, ah! It's like, oh my god.
She's in REM sleep.
Yeah, this Boeing 747 is growling at me. I wouldn't just smile.
I mean, it's cute when dogs, like, snarl in their sleep, so it's probably the same thing.
Sure.
That's what I assumed. It's like a little snarl.
Yeah. Sophie, you have a cat, not a dog. Does your cat do sleep things?
I think they do, but I have never seen my cat do it.
She's too lazy.
I feel like I've seen her do sleep stuff.
She'll like twitch, but she won't like, you know, in all the cartoons where like the dog is running on the floor sideways while they're asleep. She doesn't do like that.
Wow, that's too bad. But Saphira is like a cat in that she has a rough tongue, and she, when she wakes up, she like loafs near the door with her tail flicking, also like a cat.
Yeah. She's like a cat lizard.
She's like a cat lizard the size of a Boeing 747.
Just normal stuff. I was looking up because like the rough tongue thing weirded me out. Because like cats have a rough tongue because they use it to groom with.
Yeah.
And Saphira is made of scales. Not,
She has to clean her scales.
but like lizards don't, you know? Like
Yeah.
reptiles don't lick themselves.
Yeah. We haven't heard anything about Saphira shedding her skin, even though she has to have done it a bazillion times by now.
That's
If she
true.
grew from the size of a cat to a 747 in 6 months.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it has something to do with like a fun fact about a cat is that if it's drinking from your water glass, you
Uh-huh.
can still drink the water because none of their saliva goes back in.
Oh.
The structure
Really?
of the tongue is such that any water that touches the tongue sticks to it.
What the heck?
They drink by
Oh.
licking, right? They don't like spit back into your drink essentially.
Damn.
That could honestly be an urban myth, but it's an urban myth I have heard and believe.
Uh-huh.
Cats, hydrophilic tongues.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't drink water that my cat has been drinking from anyway, but I've heard that you can.
Interesting. But cat tongues also have like little serrations on it. So are her serrated claws what she's using to like pick between the scales? I
Yeah.
don't know.
You should
Mm.
just clog herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like those birds.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was looking up like lizard. I just googled lizard tongues, you know, like you do,
Like
Uh-huh.
you do.
just to be like, what do lizards do with their tongues? And I guess I didn't realize that all lizards do the like snake thing where they use their tongue to like smell.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah. The way it works is their tongues have structures to like grip. I think it's like liquid based. I'm not great at molecular stuff, but like
Uh-huh.
liquid based scent molecules get picked up by the
Okay.
tongue, and then it goes into like a special organ at the top of their mouth called the vomeronasal cavity, which can specifically pick up those scents.
That sounds
So maybe
right.
that's what she's doing.
Yeah, I believe that.
Typically that's used for finding like it's most useful in finding prey, predators, or in reproduction, like smelling a mate or something. So
Mhm.
all of those sound like things a dragon could do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dragon
I believe
predators.
it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you know those dragon predators?
Those predators that eat dragons.
I guess bigger dragons, maybe?
Space dragons.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Maybe the sea serpents are dragon predators.
Yeah.
We don't know
Oh.
anything about them yet.
Yeah, or maybe the griffins.
Wait, there's griffins.
There are 2 golden griffins outside of Tronjheim.
Yeah.
Tronjheim.
Statues.
Tronjheim.
I'm just guessing. I don't know how to pronounce it either.
Good.
I'm just saying it with confidence.
I double checked all of these pronunciations at least twice before starting the episode, and they are all gone from my brain.
That's fair. That sounds right.
Hell yeah.
Irritating. In addition to the griffins, the decor piece that Eragon fixates on for a whole paragraph is some lamps.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what that's about, but there's
And
like
a
a full
statue.
paragraph of Eragon being like, wow, these lamps.
Yeah, Eragon's bored in the chapter, which means
Yeah.
he like then passes it along to the rest of us by being
Yes.
like, "Hey, I stared at this lamp for an entire paragraph." And then he's like, "And now for the second chapter in a row, I'm going to talk about a statue that I don't know what it's of."
But yeah, does that imply that griffins exist? Or are
Okay,
they
no.
fantasy here also?
So the statue he's talking about is a strange quilled animal.
Oh, right.
I don't know if you noticed this because I had to go back and check a previous chapter because we just fully glossed over it. Like we
Yeah, we
did not
Oh.
notice.
We didn't talk about it at all.
Yeah, he mentions like when they first come into the mountain, he's like, "Oh, and then there's this weird statue of some kind of animal with quills." And then
Uh-huh.
he brings it up again. And the only, animal that I associate with quills is a porcupine. And
Mhm.
as such, I have terrible news for Hannah.
Uh-huh.
Uh-oh.
And your belief that the the world of Eragon is in North America.
Oh.
Seriously gonna try to tell me that porcupines are not in North America?
No, because Eragon doesn't know what a porcupine is, because he's just like, what the hell is this weird quilled animal?
Uh-huh.
So porcupines are found in North America.
Uh-huh.
New World porcupines are found in North America, South America. Old World porcupines are found in Italy, Asia, and most of Africa, but not Europe.
Damn it.
So my theory is that this statue came across with the humans and the elves from North America, where they're from.
Yes.
Oh, reverse colonization.
Yeah. To Europe, which is here.
Oh, I was thinking, I'm assuming, because Ajihad is black, that he is from an equivalent of Africa, or at least his ancestors are. So I thought maybe it came from wherever he's from.
But then, what would it be? A tenrec?
Well, there's African porcupines.
Yeah, but like,
I don't know.
why would? But the argument is still that Eragon doesn't know what the hell it is.
Yes. Yes, sorry, I was referring more
yes.
to your assertion that it came across with colonizers from, like, the old world where humans came from.
Right.
And thinking more that it probably came from whatever is south, maybe near Serta.
Yeah, but the statue's, like, at the entrance of the mountain, not, like, in Ajihad's house or office.
Yes, it is a
whatever.
dwarf thing. Maybe it's a boar.
Maybe it's a boar. Well, actually, my counter-argument is that it's probably ceratopsian.
Oh, I'll take it.
Which is an early form of Triceratops.
Because
they had quills.
I knew this had to be a dinosaur. I was like, what?
Obviously, that's probably what it is.
Yeah. You know how when you're a grown-up, nobody asks you your favorite dinosaur anymore?
Uh-huh.
Because it's come up, mine is Triceratops, so I'm going to take that as interpretation and canonize it in my brain.
Sure. This was probably, if it had quills, it was probably Psittacosaur, or however you say that. But
oh no, you got it right.
Yeah, I got it right.
Because I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I was gonna say when people don't ask you your favorite dinosaur, you should just take it upon yourself to tell them, which is what you did. So
which I did do that.
Yeah. So you're like already there.
Sam, what's your favorite dinosaur?
Yeah.
Oh, I like the blue-armed dinosaur from Prehistoric Planet.
Yeah.
It's a type of
I think.
T-Rex. I don't know. Clearly, Carnosaur. I know my dinosaurs. Oh, but no, there's the monosaur.
Carnotaurus.
Carnotaurus and the monosaurs.
Mononychus.
Monosaur. What's the big ocean dinosaur?
Mosasaur.
Mosasaur. That one. Clearly, I know my dinosaurs.
It's not a dinosaur.
And the blue-armed one that tries to flirt with the lady.
Yeah.
That's
a good one. That one is a dinosaur. I'll give you that one.
Sophie, you have 30 seconds. What's your favorite dinosaur?
Microraptor.
Okay, cool. I thought that would take longer.
No, you see, I don't know my dinosaurs. So that's why it took me a long time. Sophie knows her dinosaurs. That's like the question she has prepared for every date.
I'm always ready.
Always ready.
It usually takes me longer because then I have to be like, well, so I really like this dinosaur, but if we're just going with extinct reptiles, then I have to go with Quetzalcoatlus. And if we're going with the water ones, then I have to...
Okay, anyway, so I really enjoyed the fact that they make Eragon ride on Snowfire for a while, and then they get to the city and they're like, no, get on your dragon. And then they walk through the city, and then they're like, okay, get off the dragon, get back on your horse. It was like, what?
Yeah,
it's so weird.
It was very clearly like for show, right? They're like, okay, we don't want you to have the power of being on your dragon, but we do want you to look powerful on your dragon as we're walking past the people of this city.
Yeah. Which is so weird because, like, then why did it matter when no one was there, you know? Unless they're, like, trying to drive home that, like, you are under our control in that we can tell you when.
I think it was that, too, yeah.
I think so, too. I assumed it was that they don't want him and Saphira to, like, be together in case they are planning anything or whatever.
If only, it's a good thing they can't mentally talk to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or anything like that.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
No, I think it's just a power play.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Well, what I liked about that part is that they're like, okay, get on Saphira. Don't even try and fly away. And Eragon's like, Even though they've been walking for like a league underground, Eragon is just like, yeah, they said I shouldn't fly away. That makes sense. Like, he doesn't even question it.
Yeah, okay.
Just a little ridiculous. Just a little.
They get into this, like, what Eragon describes as a huge crater, but it is actually more like what Sophie does in Minecraft, which is just...
Yeah.
Somebody, some old dwarf hollowed out a mountain and built a city in it.
Wow, I can't believe you came for me so hard.
That's the first thing I thought of when I was like, wow, somebody hollowed out the mountain. I was like, I've heard this before. Sophie was here.
This is what Sophie does in Minecraft?
Yeah.
Listen,
That's
sometimes
funny.
you're like, I want a cool underground house. And then you're like, what if it was the whole mountain? And then you're like, what if I just make it so there's a single block layer of mountain left and the rest is my house?
Yeah. Just a totally normal thing that we can all relate to.
I've done this in like 4 Minecraft games.
That's really funny.
Literally the last time I played Minecraft with Hannah, she had just dug out like a horizontal plane also under a mountain. So it was just like a dark, flat, endless space. And I was just like, oh, you do this while you're just chilling and listening to audiobooks? Okay.
Yeah. I made one that was so big it took me 10 minutes to run across it.
That is really funny.
Okay, so Hannah and I both have separately designed Tronjheim in different ways.
Tronjheim, the marble city that some dwarf whose name I did not write down built many eons ago or whatever.
Mr. Tronjheim himself.
Mr. Tronjheim himself.
Okay, but I need to talk about this crater.
Yeah.
Because Eragon, they enter this crater and they're like, wow, it's so big that Tronjheim is like a marble mountain inside this mountain crater, right? So it's like Eragon just like tossing out various distances and heights and lengths. And when he looks up, he's like, this crater goes up 12 miles high.
Yeah, what the hell?
We need to talk about how high 12 miles is.
It's so high.
Because Everest is 5 miles high from sea level.
Oh my god.
Like, we don't even know how far above sea level they are sitting in the crater. So 12 miles is about 19,000 meters or 63,000 feet, which is like well into the stratosphere. Provided we're on an Earth planet, you know?
Listen, he did say that it's high enough that Saphira or another dragon wouldn't be able to fly out of it.
Yeah. Yep. Nobody definitely could fly out of that because I don't know if you've ever heard of the Armstrong limit.
Is that something with Lance Armstrong?
I think it's, I forget.
Neil Armstrong?
No, it's
Neil Armstrong.
After,
that's a better Armstrong.
It's named after United States Air Force General Harry George Armstrong.
Okay.
It's the height at which the pressure in the atmosphere is low enough that any exposed liquid on your body will boil away.
Oh, cool.
Oh.
So, like, the liquid in your eyes, saliva, literally the liquid that, like, the mucous membrane around your lung alveoli or whatever.
Oh god, that's an important one.
Boil away.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so, like, no amount of, like, obviously there's not enough oxygen up there either to breathe, but an oxygen mask will not keep you alive because all of your water is boiling away.
And how high is that?
That is 62,000 feet above seawater, which is 12 miles.
Oh. Wow.
Oh.
So
okay.
The top of this mountain.
So all their liquids are vaporizing.
No. Well, no. So if they went to the top of the mountain, right? So that they're at the bottom of the crater. Sorry, yes.
Right.
The top of the crater, which extends 12 miles above them.
God.
If they went up there, all the
Jesus.
liquid would boil off of their bodies, which is why when they say in a minute, like, oh, they have the perfect place, not even a dragon could fly over them
Yeah.
to let Galbatorix in. It's like, that's an understatement.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yep.
Wild.
So do you think this is a case of Christopher Paolini being like way too precise and being like, what
No.
is the Armstrong limit or
No.
whatever? Or is it him just being, oh my god, it's so big, it's like 12 miles high, it's
That
like so
one.
big.
That
one?
like, I
Yeah.
have to assume it's that because maybe it falls into the same category as when Eragon was like, we walked past dozens of doors. Or no,
Yeah.
what was it? It was scores of doorways.
Scores
So
of
it's like,
doorways.
you mean like 60 doorways in one guy's
In
house?
one hallway?
Yeah.
Oh, what the
Yeah. Yeah,
I
so
love
very
this
funny.
book.
I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. I didn't look up if there's like a limit to how high like mountain building can go. Like, I don't know if orogenic processes can only like shoot rocks up so high
So high.
before they like, because the pressure has to be weird up there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and there'd be so much gravity up there that it would sink back into
right?
the mantle, right?
The only way it could be possible is if they're below sea level right now. And like,
They're not, they're in a mountain range.
but the dwarves, what if they dug deeper?
They dug too deep.
No.
Well, no, my brain was more thinking like they dug deeper so they're like below sea level in the mountain. Anyways, I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't trust me.
That's a good idea.
Okay. That was said like, good job, sweetie, but no.
No, you were.
It sounded like there was a
like,
butt coming.
No, you immediately were like, "Oh no, it's a terrible idea." So I just wanted to validate you and say that.
Oh, thank
yes,
you.
It's a good idea.
You knew where my brain was going, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's possible. I just, I don't know if there's. I just don't know if there's a limit to.
Yeah, I have no idea.
How high.
I would assume there has to be. If Mount Everest is only 5 miles, only.
Yeah, right? Only 5 miles high.
Only 5 miles. It's wild that, like, Mount Everest is, like, 5 miles above sea level, and the deepest point in the ocean is, what, like, 12 kilometers? And it's like, I can walk 12 kilometers in a day. Like, it's wild the difference in scale on our, like, vertical and horizontal planes.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have a point to this. I'm just marveling at the world.
No, that is fair.
Thanks for doing it, because I found a website that tells me why mountains can't grow higher than Mount Everest.
Oh, okay. Tell me.
It's basically what we said. It's gravity and plate tectonics.
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
Yeah, eventually it just becomes too hard to work against gravity, essentially.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Its own mass stops it from growing, and it like not reverses, but it just like keeps the plates from continuing to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
cool.
There you have it.
So there you have it.
They must be at least 7 miles below sea level right now.
I mean, that's a little improbable.
It seems a little improbable.
The part where they fell for 10 minutes directly straight down.
We don't know that their journey wasn't downhill.
It's true.
It could have been a very steady, slow decline.
They could have been going slowly downhill ever since they left the
since
Empire.
They left Carvajal.
They were in a valley, weren't they? So they were already low. So they could have just kept going lower.
They forgot to mention that there's like a huge wall along the whole coastline.
Yeah, it's a flat Earth.
Yeah.
It's a flat
Earth.
Earth.
Is actually the flat Earth.
Yeah,
that's why it's rimmed with mountains on every side.
It's inside a sky dome.
Yeah.
Have you ever been on a plane in Allegasia?
Checkmate.
Checkmate.
I feel like this also connects to the fact that there are giant icicles hundreds of feet thick and thousands of feet long hanging leagues above them.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
The scale of this place just makes no sense.
No science was done.
Yeah, I think Eragon's exaggerating. That's what
I
I'm
think
gonna
so.
go with. Eragon's
Yeah.
being like, whoa, it's so big, and it's like a mile
Uh-huh.
high.
Yeah. I mean, he's 16. Like, he's
Yeah.
almost certainly hyperbolic.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine if you had seen like the Appalachians and then
Yeah.
went to the Himalayas and were like, oh,
Uh-huh.
you'd be like,
Like,
it's
yeah,
a
this...
dozen miles high.
Uh-huh.
It goes straight to the moon.
I would still do that, and I'm almost 30. Like, I feel like
Oh yeah, me too.
that's fine. Anyway,
uh,
Farthendur.
Farther.
Sorry, Farthendur. The mountain that was hollowed out, and they built a whole city inside it.
Yeah, pretty exciting.
It's pretty
Wow.
cool.
At the Marble Mountain.
The Marble City, Tronjheim.
I
Tronjheim?
wonder
I
if there's
forgot
a bar
already.
log underneath it. A bar log.
Ba-
There we go.
Balrog?
Balrog?
Power log. I'm doing great this episode, guys. Doing so good.
Uh-huh.
Good.
Yeah, everything's good.
It's great.
It's
Yeah.
because we haven't recorded in so long. That's why.
Oh my god. I've
You were
forgotten
really,
how to talk to
you
people.
were really good at the words before.
Yeah, that... it's
Yeah,
true.
that checks. That really
Uh-huh.
checks.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Something I liked that probably won't make it into the podcast because it's the most inside of jokes, but
Sure.
Eragon is like walking around admiring the craftsmanship of everything. I'm like,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
big Ely vibes here.
Hannah playing a D&D game vibes right there.
Yep. Yeah, my guy gets really excited whenever there's a wood.
You're gonna go with that phrasing?
You're gonna leave that one?
Whenever
Okay.
there's something made of wood, Elia's like, oh man,
There
nice
we go.
wood,
Yeah.
bro.
Sure. Yeah, nice wood, bro. That's
Nice wood,
it.
bro.
Anyway, about this craftsmanship, I didn't look up, I couldn't find anything about how big gemstones can be.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of descriptions of like, wow, Tronjheim has the biggest star sapphire ever, and zircon's bigger than a man, and the floor was all carnelian. So it's like a very fancy place. I'm assuming there might be some limitations on how big some of those minerals can be.
I would assume.
You know, that's fine. Also, I feel like the star sapphire is hanging from the ceiling, and it's like 20 yards across, and it's been carved
So
into
big.
a rose, which I feel like you don't really want to do that with gemstones.
Yeah, like, isn't the whole thing with a sapphire that if you like polish it correctly, it looks like there's a star in there, but it has to be super
Yeah.
smooth. So if you carve it into a
Yeah.
rose, it probably doesn't look like that anymore.
Yeah, like I think all of those little facets, right, all have to be
Yeah.
perfect in order to
Yeah.
get all the reflections inside. So I think like going into it, like digging in to make like petal shapes
Yeah.
is not ideal. But
No.
I'm not a dwarf from Tronjheim, so
It's true. If anybody can do it, a dwarf can.
Yeah, a dwarf definitely can.
If nothing else, it's like a good mental image. Like
Oh
you
my
get
god, yeah.
a good idea of what this looks like, feasible or otherwise.
Yeah, no, this place sounds cool as hell.
Yeah, I would like to go there, please.
People are like, oh, dwarves are good at mining. And I'm like, this place sounds like it.
Uh-huh.
They sound like they're good at it.
It's exactly the kind of place where people who were inhumanly good at mining would be.
Yep.
Just
super quick, I wanted to talk about on the way to Tronjheim, Eragon just like super relatable, where there's this giant crowd of people suddenly staring at him, and he's like, and then he like waves incredibly awkwardly.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, because everyone's not impressed. And then one guy in the back goes, woo, and then everyone else starts to cheer.
It was a good scene.
Oh, it was a good scene. I like that it kind of played off of the, this book does a lot of like, oh, this is sort of exactly what I expected.
Yeah.
But this scene is playing off the like, oh, the hero comes in and is very charismatic and everyone cheers immediately. And it's like, no.
No.
He's kind of awkward.
Uh-huh. Saphira isn't awkward though. Like she's all into it. She like shows
Yeah.
off a little bit, And she, at one point, she's like walking around and she arches her neck, like perhaps a proud horse would.
Yeah. A very proud horse. And
A
she
very
puffs
proud
out
horse.
some smoke.
Yeah. Underground.
Underground. Cool.
Which is
cool
a great
day.
place to have smoke.
I mean, I guess we're going to get to a point where she breathes fire, right?
I can only assume that it's coming.
I have to assume.
She's been breathing smoke a little bit more frequently.
Yeah.
I feel like because this book is not, like, entirely original, I'm taking the fact that Saphira will breathe fire for granted.
Yeah.
Like, there's no part of me going into this book that would assume that Saphira would do anything but breathe fire.
Yeah.
But she hasn't done it yet.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost a little weird because maybe we can talk about this because in the next chapter, this also comes up a little bit.
There we go.
But they talk a little bit about like why the dwarves aren't super psyched about Eragon being around, and it's because they don't really like the dragons. And we had like thought about, oh, maybe it's because they eat dwarves. Or maybe they're farm animals. And so here, like it says, oh, dragons do eat dwarf animals and steal their gold. And so much like the fire breathing, I like am going into this dragon book not necessarily expecting just a classic dragon sort of situation. And so it's sort of surprising to me every time it's like, oh, and then she breathes smoke with no previous hint.
Oh, yeah.
Or, oh, and they stole all their gold. And it's like, but why? This hasn't been established.
Yeah, that one surprised me because Saphira has shown no particular interest in like gold or gems or anything to this point.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a little strange, and I mean I'm excited to hear why one day.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll get an explanation.
Yep. I mean, we got an explanation of why the interactions between the dwarves and the dragons, so that's fun.
That's true. Yeah, and they confirm that there's never been a dwarven dragon rider, and that most of the dragon riders in history were elves, but some of them were human. Because there was this, like, power struggle between the Varden and the elves over Saphira's egg, and they were all very stupid about it. Like, the reason that Arya, who was carrying Saphira's egg, was, like, able to be ambushed in the prologue is that, like, the Varden and the elves both want control over the egg and weren't able to come to a reasonable compromise. So they shuttle the egg back and forth between the Varden, who are in these mountains at, like, the bottom of the map, and the elves in the magical forest New Weldon Varden at the top of the map.
Yep.
And they just, like, have somebody on a horse, like, ride the egg back and forth while Galbatorix and his entire army is out there in the Empire, like, looking for them.
Yeah, they just, like, run right through Galbatorix's house, basically, to be like, bring this dragon egg over to the other guys every year.
Like, honestly, what the hell?
Yeah. Like, you'd think they're talking about how, magical and powerful the elves are. It's like, just set up a portal or whatever the hell.
Right?
You know?
Well, like, Arya sends, like, when she gets attacked in the prologue, she uses magic to try to send the egg to Brahm. They confirm in this chapter. Because she knew that Brahm was in Carvajal. And I was like, so, if Arya had the ability to, like, send the egg to a specific person with magic, why not just do that every year?
Yeah. They say that Arya didn't have the power to send it all the way back to the Varden. Yeah. That was too far. And that the elf place, whatever it is, Ellesmere Island or whatever the variation here is called.
Ellesmere Island in the Arctic.
Well, yeah. Ellesmere.
It's Ellesmere.
Always... Yeah, but Ellesmere has been used before for an elf place, hasn't it?
I think so. It's gotta.
Or is it just from the serpent's egg?
Maybe that's
no idea.
That
what's
one
confusing
Canadian
me
book.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that me and Hannah read and nobody else.
You know, I did just Google Ellesmere, and it's just about, like, Ellesmere Island, and there's an Ellesmere in Toronto, so, like, it might be. It might not be an elf thing, but we both read The Serpent's Egg and Eragon during our formative years, and therefore elves come from Ellesmere.
Yeah. Maybe I'm also just thinking of Eragon. Anyway.
Maybe.
What was I saying? Oh, yeah. And you can't send it there because they've got all these magical protections, which weird that an elf couldn't make it through the magical protections. But anyway, surely the power of the super amazing elf queen
Yeah.
could get it to the Varden or whatever.
Or even they could have like way stations like set up through the Empire where they like send it to each other.
Yeah. Or like go the long way.
There was
around.
definitely a solution to this that they didn't think
Yeah.
So
of.
dumb.
So
But
dumb.
then there wouldn't even be a book, so
Yeah, like I know it had to
That's
happen this way for the
true.
plot, but I don't like it when things that have to happen for the plot seem to only happen because they're for the plot.
Yeah,
I
no,
like
it
there to be an
sucks.
internal logic, and I can't
100%.
find it.
yeah.
There's none.
Also, we did just sort of gloss over that Ajihad is the one telling him
yes.
all this. Who Ajihad, who is the leader of the Varden, but not the king that was referred to previously, because the king is the king of the dwarves, Hrothgar
Right.
or whatever.
Oh,
Hrothgar.
that's what I was getting mixed up. I kept
Yeah.
getting confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's Ajihad, the leader of the Varden, and Hrothgar, the king of the dwarves.
Right.
And the dwarves are like sheltering the Varden, but are not really part of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the elves were allied with the Varden, but then when Arya and the egg disappeared, they renounced their allyship, and the Varden have been on their own.
Which is like wild because there's like no way that the Varden could have been at fault for it, you know? Like she
Yeah,
was
like-
super close to the elf place. Why didn't they protect her, you know?
Yeah, it was an elf carrying the egg with an elven escort coming out of one of the elven cities. And they're mad at the Varden for the
Varden.
fact that the egg got lost.
The egg and Arya got lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, classic.
Well, it's sort of interesting because, like, the elves are very clearly being set up as, like, being a very kind of proud and insular society. Like, their way is the best way, and they don't want you involved in any way, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they've, like, kind of reluctantly partnered with the Varden because neither of them like Galbatorix, and it seems more of, like, the enemy of my enemy situation rather than an actual partnership. But, like, if they're going to be so mad that, like, Arya and the egg disappeared, and if they're going to be so reluctant to partner with the Varden in the first place and, like, withdraw their support the moment something goes wrong, it's a little surprising that they didn't just take the egg by force in the first place.
Yeah.
What incentive did they have to enter into this partnership with the Varden?
Yeah, I can only think that it mattered more to expose the egg to more potential riders, like by the barest margin, you know, like, oh, well, there are all these humans that it could be, so.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Because I'm assuming that that elves probably reproduce slowly because they often do in this sort of
That's always
fantasy.
the thing, yeah.
Yeah, like when you live for that long,
you know?
Yeah, extremely K-selected.
Live a really long time, have one baby when they become sexually mature at 350 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
The Greenland shark method.
The Greenland shark method.
Yeah, what I did like about this conversation is that it established why there has never, well, not why, but it gives a good potential reason why there has never been a dwarf dragon rider. And it's like, because there's like this back and forth enmity? How do you even say that? No idea.
I think that's correct.
Yeah, that word. Where the dragons eat all the dwarves' stuff and steal their gold, and then the dwarves do something. That part wasn't clear.
Do something.
Get mad about it, I guess.
Yeah. And as soon as I read that, I was like, man, now I just want the book about the first dwarf dragon rider.
This did feel like it was setting up the moment that, like, one of the other two remaining eggs hatches for a dwarf.
Right. I'm assuming it doesn't, but that would be fun.
I'd be a fan of that.
Yeah. It was, well, I guess we should talk about the Murtagh stuff first.
Oh yeah, Murtagh. There's a bit of stuff about Murtagh here, huh?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a few.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Murtagh. I always like to talk about Murtagh. I mean, like, there's not much here that we don't already know about Murtagh. Like, he is extremely adamant that he will absolutely refuse to submit to having his mind read. He says that, like, his thoughts are the only thing that has ever been wholly his and the only thing that nobody has ever been able to take from him. So no matter what happens, like he would rather they kill him than get into his brain, which is like hardcore, but at least he has, convictions.
Yeah.
But it does, like, as Ajihad states, it like puts them all in kind of a weird position because the Varden can't afford to let Murtagh among them if they don't know that he's not a spy. But they also can't afford to let him go because now he knows where they are, and like Galbatorix could get into his brain. Or Murtagh could be a traitor and just like go straight to Galbatorix and tell him where the Varden is, which would kind of be the end of their whole deal.
Yeah.
So they're all in like kind of a shitty position. No wonder Murtagh didn't want to go here.
Because like the problem is that he got into inside the crater, right?
Yeah.
And now he knows this is where like the Varden are and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it's weird that they let him in initially anyway, you know?
Well, they didn't want to.
And he didn't
But-
want to go because, like, I just
Yeah,
remember
nobody
this
wanted him
whole-
there except Eragon.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
I couldn't help feeling reading this entire scene. I was just mad at Eragon. I was like,
Yeah.
why'd you have to bring him? Like, this is your
Yeah.
fault. You should have actually tried. But no, you're just too selfish and wanted him with you.
Yeah, he really put Murtagh in a bad position.
He did.
He's like not even that phased that Murtagh is now going to a windowless room for the rest of his life at this point.
Yeah.
And it's his fault!
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He's like, wow, I'm so sorry. Anyway, I'm gonna keep talking to Ajihad. Like, and
Yeah.
not about you.
Yeah, anyway, what happened to Arya? It's like,
Yeah.
fucking great, Eragon.
Cool.
Good priorities.
Yep. Cool guy.
Yeah. Anyway, what happened to Arya is that she's in bad shape still, but probably will survive. And that's kind of all
Yeah.
we get.
And also, Aragon's not allowed to see her unless she seeks him out.
Oh, yes.
Which,
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah. Yeah, they
Yep.
don't know they can trust him yet. Again, as Ajihad states. Ajihad is very forthcoming
Yeah.
for the leader of like an underground, literally and figuratively, rebellion.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he does state that he got that letter from Brahm.
Yes.
So he does know that Brahm has been teaching Eragon and like vouches for him.
Yes.
So I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, and that was the plan all along, as like part of their deal with the elves, that regardless of who the egg hatched for, a human or an elf, Brahm would take care of like the first year of their education, presumably as like the only former rider left alive.
Yeah.
And then the elves would take over after that and I guess do whatever the traditional rider training is.
Yeah. Although I also assumed that the elves like assumed it would be an elf.
Yeah.
You
I think
Oh. Am I remembering this correctly? But like, isn't the rider training like super like bad? Like, I seem to remember us talking about that. Like, wasn't it really cruel or something? Or am I making that up?
I think it was just the fact that they don't tell the riders that they can do magic until they're like older.
Yeah, like there was something about it that was like really cringy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we were talking about like they are taken from their homes super young.
Yeah.
They, like lose any association with their family, and then also the dragons like from birth.
Yeah.
Just, like taken to do this thing. Also, they don't really get a choice either.
It's all just very problematic.
Yeah.
It's very
They need
Jedi.
new methods.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. The fun part about like right after Murtagh leaves and Eragon immediately forgets that he exists.
Yeah.
Is Ajihad is telling this like backstory, and then he also explains why like, oh, all the humans were super psyched to see you, but the dwarves were all like meh. And then talks a little bit about like the politics of what Eragon is going to be coming into.
Mm-hmm.
Like how people will depend on him and whatever, like people will try and control you. Like again, being very helpful.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Just laying it all out there.
Yeah, laying like huge info dump. But the fun part is he talks about the dwarves being like associated with the Varden, like letting them like stay in the mountain with them, like have their base there, but they've never let the riders police their kingdom.
Yeah.
Like they've never really allowed the riders to be in charge or anything. And I was like reading that and I'm like, yeah, weird that the dwarves wouldn't let these colonizers
Right?
just like come into their city and tell them how to do everything.
Like the colonizers and their historic enemy, the dragons.
Hated enemy. Yeah.
Like, yeah. Can't
Yeah,
fucking
weird.
imagine why.
It's like I can't figure it out either, Ajihad.
Jeez.
God.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why do I feel like he's gonna be secretly a villain? I feel like he's not all good. I feel like there's something there.
He definitely does feel like the trope, like the Mysterio.
Yeah.
In the...
Yeah, or I was thinking like
Yeah.
Hunger
Yeah.
Games, like President
Yeah.
Coin. You're made to think like she's the good one, but she's really just as bad as Snow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get that vibe.
Yeah, he definitely has that vibe about him,
Okay.
for sure.
But anyways, I don't think he's like the true good guy that he's supposed to be.
Well, Eragon's going to be the only good guy that we know this.
Yes.
Ugh.
Because
Oh,
he
the
wouldn't
moral high
kill
ground.
a slaver.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh my god. Eragon is just...
What a guy.
What a guy.
Yep. Ajihad like tells Eragon all this stuff and then asks Eragon to tell his story. And Eragon talks about what's happened to him for hours. I'm like, well, I mean, Ajihad could just listen to Midlight Crisis if he wants to know what's happened up to this point.
We have certainly talked for hours about it.
We have talked for many hours about what's happened to Eragon thus far.
Yep.
And then they come up to the Shade, and Ajihad has fought the Shade before, and if you remember, I can't even remember if we mentioned it or not, but the Shade has this like very long scratch on his sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which apparently was put there by Ajihad trying to cut out the Shade's heart, which is the only way that you can actually kill a Shade. So when Murtagh
cliche.
shot it between the eyes and it vanished into smoke, he will reappear elsewhere in spirit form, which is
What?
something.
Like Voldemort.
Do they grow a new body? Like what?
Right, like what does
They
he
might.
just
like a sea star?
right, or like a maybe he what's not extrudes, like secretes a new body, like
around his
mollusk does
soul?
its shell. Yeah.
I support that theory.
Honestly,
Yeah.
now that I've said that out loud, I totally love that.
Yeah, I like it.
I sort of like the idea that maybe they inhabit another body, like they take over someone else's body, but as soon as it's become inhabited by the Shade, like their hair goes black, their eyes go red, you know, like maybe you
Yeah.
Sorry, his hair is also red. He's an
Oh,
evil
sorry, his
ginger.
hair is red.
Yes.
Right. My bad.
'Cause he has no soul.
He has no soul.
Yeah.
But is
no,
it
he's
like a
only
ginger
soul.
red or like an Ariel red? I need this.
No, it's like
distinction.
fire red, I think.
Is
Wow.
that yeah? I think that checks.
Blood
Okay.
red.
Blood red. That's
it's
more
cool,
burgundy.
obviously. Yeah, it's like a dark
Yeah.
ginger.
You know the vampire's eyes in Twilight.
Uh-huh.
the color of his hair.
Yeah. Vampire red. Yep,
Yeah.
and the Shade has a name. His name is Durza.
There's now we know it.
So now we know.
Yeah, oh my god, there's so
There's
much
the Shade.
information in this chapter.
There's so much information.
Yeah, because we also learn that the Urgles,
Right,
they have like a secret message from Galbatorix, who is called Father in the Urgle tongue.
Ugh,
and-
gross.
He sent them to where they were, which means maybe they're about to, I don't know, march on Tronjheim, I assume.
Yeah, they don't know specifically where Farthendur is, but they know it's somewhere in the Bior Mountains.
Yeah.
And if all of these Urgles are amassing,
Yeah.
especially now that the elves aren't helping the Varden, they could just like run through the mountains and smash things, I
God.
guess.
Are we about to have the final battle in The Hobbit where Arya wakes
No.
up during the battle and calls the elves to come help?
No.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably.
No.
Anyway.
No.
Anyway, the last thing I
Yeah.
want to talk about is Ajihad is telling Eragon about like how everybody is going to want things from him,
Yeah.
and like they're all going to start bringing his problems to Eragon, which is great because Eragon is 16.
Yeah. Cool.
And suddenly Eragon has to be like a fortune teller and also a therapist to like
Yep.
everybody who lives in this mountain. And as I was sitting there being like, this is like, he is 16, like this is a terrible idea. Ajihad says, don't worry about your youth and inexperience, they will pass soon enough. So that's good news, I guess.
Yeah. Cool. One day you'll
I
get
feel
old.
encouraged.
Yeah. Although I feel like he should probably have said like your youth will go away, but the inexperience, I don't know.
I don't know.
Never
That
goes.
one's not for sure.
Nope.
I feel like he should have said like, hey, here's what I'm going to do to help you.
How about I'll have, a group of advisors who can
Right?
help you with stuff instead of being like, nah, figure it out.
Yeah, good luck, kid. You'll get
You
old
don't-
someday and then this will be fine.
Yeah. He's gonna come ask you to like adjudicate like law. And you're gonna be like, I don't know.
It's like, I learned how to read last week.
Yeah.
Oh, he did
I don't-
though.
I don't know any of these words.
I don't know what this means. I grew up on a farm like 20 kilometers out of a
Yeah.
small town. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
if you
know
want to learn when you need to harvest your goods in the fall, I can definitely tell you that.
Like, nobody asked this poor kid for advice.
Yeah.
Especially
Don't
because
do
he
it.
and Sophia are both so arrogant that they're gonna be like, yeah,
Yeah, they'll be like, we got
here's the
this.
advice.
Yeah.
He's gonna think he
Sophia's
can do
6
all
months
of it.
old. She's gonna be like, yeah, I know how to solve your love problems, tell you who
Yeah.
you should marry.
Yeah.
Which is
Well,
what
this is
the
never
young
gonna
women are
end
going
well.
to ask him, of course.
Yeah. But what they're going to be really asking is, will you marry me? So-
Obviously.
And his answer is pretty easy. It can be no.
It will be no, because he's going to
No.
marry Arya.
He's going to marry Murtagh.
And Ormurtagh.
It's a romance novel, don't forget.
It's a romance novel. They can have a throuple, that's fine.
Yeah. I do just
Yeah.
want to... I wasn't going to say this, but now I am. It was funny because at the beginning of this chapter, meeting Ajihad, it did read a little bit like, oh no, he's hot.
It did.
It's like, wow, he has broad shoulders, inquisitive eyes. Like,
Yeah. Solemn, intelligent eyes.
yeah.
That, like,
Anyway,
Chris Evans body type.
yeah.
Ooh.
Yep.
I mean, Ajihad sounds hot from this
Yeah.
description of him.
He
so.
sounds hot and slightly evil. I'm just saying.
Honestly-
What's not to like?
What's not to like?
It's true.
I'm only picturing
Morally
him
gray.
as Idris Elba as Heimdall.
Yeah.
Even though it
Yeah.
explicitly says that Ajihad is bald, but I'm like, no.
I was gonna say, did
Heimdall.
I misread that? I thought he was bald.
No,
That's
I guess
fine.
it could be like Captain Holt in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I'd take that.
Even better
But with a beard.
with the beard.
But with a beard and
With
a
an
Dorito
Idris
body
Elba
shape.
beard.
So I
And a
guess
Dorito-
Terry Crews in
Okay,
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
but he
With a
doesn't
beard.
have a Dorito body shape. What he has is a tapered red vest. Like, he doesn't
Yeah.
have a tapered body.
Well, he has extremely broad shoulders that are like emphasized by the tapering on his vest, which to me implies that his body is also tapered, but it's just emphasized by the tapering on the vest. He is shaped like a Dorito, and I
Okay.
refuse to consider any
Sure.
alternatives.
I can't
Attractive
unsee
Dorito
it now. All I
Yeah.
can see is Captain Holt's head with a Dorito.
With an Idris
Yeah.
Elba beard and
Yes, and the Dorito
Uh-huh.
body.
the Dorito
Yeah.
body. Okay, great.
Sophie
the
will
perfect
Photoshop
man.
this for us.
Everyone
This is what peak
agrees.
performance looks like.
Yep,
Look,
it
This
is.
is what the ideal male body looks like. A Dorito.
A Dorito.
A
Honestly,
Dorito.
yeah.
A Dorito wearing a vest.
And a goatee.
All right, I'll Photoshop a Dorito wearing a vest.
Okay, we
Anyway.
skipped some stuff, but we're like...
We're done.
I think we're good. That was a lot of info dumping
Yeah.
in that chapter. There's only so much we can do.
Yeah, the only important last thing is that Oric is going to show him around. The end.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Oric is going to show him around. There are 2 magical twins. One of them is the
Yes.
bald guy from last episode, and they don't have names, which is weird.
And there's
Very
probably
weird.
a traitor in the Varden, and I'm betting it's those 2.
That's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
Yeah.
They have evil vibes. It's got to be them.
Yeah.
Everyone
they have
has evil vibes. I do not trust
Yep.
the Varden.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably a good call.
And I get the sense that there's going to be some kind of rebel action on Eragon's part. Like,
Yes.
oh, we're going to
Mhm.
go out and fight a thing. And I think Oric's going to be his right-hand man.
100%. I support
Yeah,
it.
Oric is the only person so far within... They're not in Duweld Varden. Where the hell are they again? Farthendur.
The Bjorn Mountains.
Tronjheim.
The only person within Farthendur who, like, seems chill.
Yeah.
So he and Eragon are going to be BFFs, and maybe he can join the throuple.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's going to be a 4-pole now.
Full-on polyamory.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what they call it.
No.
Daisy Jones in the 6, but it's Eragon, Dragon Rider, and
Yeah.
3.
The 3 and Saphira's in there too somehow.
Saphira's in there.
Anyway, we're done talking about these books.
Yeah,
So that's
please.
these books.
Well,
One book.
we're not done because
These
we have
books?
to guess.
We have to guess
Oh,
what's
yeah, we
happening
do.
next. Okay, so the next 2 chapters are called Bless the Child, Argot Lamb,
Uh-oh.
and
What?
Mandrake Root and Newt's Tongue.
Oh.
So we're gonna make poison for Cusco.
I
We'll make a
poison.
potion.
Yeah.
Potion.
I think Angela's going to show up in the second
Oh,
chapter.
yeah.
Oh,
I
I'd
hope
like
so.
that. I'd like Angela to come back.
I love Angela.
I hope she just keeps showing up.
The first chapter, I remember what happens, and
Oh, you
it's
did?
not
Oh.
good.
Oh,
Oh.
yay, we're already gonna find out that the Varden are secretly evil.
No, I don't think
Well-
it's... I think it's a thing that, like, is very innocuous now, but, like, in later books you realize that it was f***ed up.
No.
Oh,
gonna-
interesting.
My first thought was because Ajihad said that Eragon's going to have to do a bunch of stuff for the people of the town. I'm
Yeah.
going to guess that someone asked him to bless their child. And
Yes. Because he's the Argot Lamb.
I don't know what the
Ready
Argot
on,
Lamb
yeah.
is, but sure.
It means
yeah.
it's like Silver Palm. It means Dragon
Okay.
Rider.
Yeah.
Oh.
I
Yeah.
can't remember if that's come up before or not. I feel like it has,
has
but I'm
not.
not sure.
It
has
definitely
not.
has not.
Well, oops.
Now we know.
Now we know. That's
And
okay.
now you know.
Those are my guesses. I didn't really
Yeah.
guess
Yeah.
for the second chapter, other than Angela will be there,
Angela
which is
will be there.
unlikely.
But wait,
No,
you said
but
something.
I
Did
want
you
it.
say it was to like heal Arya?
Yeah, to do witch stuff, you know,
Yeah.
Do witch stuff, you know.
Yeah,
like
I
a
think
witch.
that's right.
like a witch does.
Yeah.
Stuff
do
that a
witchy
witch does.
stuff.
Yeah, stuff that witches do.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
You know those
All right, we
witches
crushed it.
and all their stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. Go
We're
on.
gonna talk about other books that we're reading. It's been a minute
Uh-huh.
since we
Yeah.
last recorded, so I'm just gonna talk about 2 books that I read recently, as though I've read any other books, because I've secretly been in a book slump since the last time we recorded.
Yeah.
But 2 books I read recently. One was The Annual Migration of Clouds by Primi Mohammed, which was really good. It's like a novella. It's like a post-apocalyptic, I think they're calling it cli-fi, where it's like climate
Oh
apocalypse.
god.
But it's like
Oh.
it's post the apocalypse, where it's just like a community living its life. Like humanity survived. They're just kind of doing their own thing. I don't know. So it's sort of chill. And it's set like on the campus of a university in Alberta. So I'm assuming that
Oh.
if you like
That's
live
funny.
there, you know the buildings that like this community lives in.
Oh, that's fun.
Which is fun. Yeah, it was like a fun book. And I saw one of the reviews of it was like, oh, it reads like literary fiction, but it's genre fiction. And I was like, that is accurate. It's really good. I don't know. It was a fun little book. And then the
Nice.
other one I read was What We Don't Talk About When We Talk About Fat by Aubrey Gordon, which was rough,
Oh.
but so good. It was a really good book. It was like stories of being a like very, what does she call it? the different gradations of being fat in society.
Mm.
And so it was like personal anecdotes, and then also like ways to change society or how it affects everyone in society, you know? And I think everyone on the planet should have to read it.
Oh, man.
Because it's really good.
I don't want to read it. I think it'll hurt
It's
my
really
feelings.
rough, but yeah, it's good. Anyway, those were 2 good books I read.
Wow.
Nice.
Also, I'm reading Dune.
Oh.
You're
I
so
started
brave.
Dune.
So bold.
Yeah,
So
I'm
brave.
saying it here so that I'm committed and I have to keep reading it.
Dang.
I'm not reading Dune, nor will I ever read Dune. But I just finished a few hours ago Fury Song by Rosaria Munda, and it has destroyed me.
So good.
Ooh.
It's so good, but my god, it hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a fantastic trilogy. I hope she writes more. I'm really debating going and just
Right?
buying the hardcover, even though it doesn't match any of my other ones, just so, like, she can write more books, please.
Yeah, I bought the audiobook and I'm also going to buy the paperback.
Yeah. I just feel like the series is so underhyped, and I feel like
Yeah.
more people need to read it, and so I'm just like, I just want her to keep writing books, because it was so good.
Yeah, I will read anything she writes.
Oh yeah, me too.
Oh, man.
But other than that, I'm reading The Devil in the Dark Water by Stuart Tartan. I think Turton. He's the writer of the 7.5 or 7.75 deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, which I didn't really like. So I'm reading his other book, of course.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that tracks.
There's a reason for this. If anyone watched our Instagram stories in July, I did a blind date with a book, and it was
Yeah.
this book,
Okay.
which was described as for fans of Stephen King, but Pirates of the Caribbean or something.
Oh.
Anyways, that's why I'm reading this. So that's going on. And then I'm reading a rom-com by Tessa Bailey, which is Fix Her Up, which I'm pretty sure is her first book, and I will forgive her for it. That's all.
I'm also reading Fixer Up, but I didn't want to talk about it.
That's okay. I made you bring it up. But that's all I'm going to mention, because I'm also reading like 5 other books, but we're not going
Oh
to
my
talk
God.
about that, because I was also in a reading slump the last few months.
Wow. Well, I also wanted to shout out Fury Song by
Yeah.
Rosaria Munda. It's just fucking great. If you want to
great.
read a dragon series that's amazing, read the Aurelian Cycle. It
Yeah.
starts with Fireborn and then Flamefall and Fury Song. They just keep getting better as the series goes on. And then I also wanted to shout out Beartown by Frederick Bachman, who wrote Anxious People,
Ooh.
which was one of our Midlight Book Club books, and The Hidden Life of Trees, What They Feel, How They Communicate, Discoveries from a Secret World by Peter Wolleben. It's a nonfiction book, and I read it in like 3 days. It's just like about how trees live and like how they talk to each other and how they share resources. It's
I love that.
extremely fascinating.
I
It
want to
was
read
so
that.
good.
Cool.
Yeah, I highly recommend that one. And then currently I'm listening to Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake, which is a rom-com, and Slaying the Dragon, A Secret History of Dungeons and Dragons by Ben Riggs, which is a nonfiction book that I got in a Goodreads giveaway. So that's
Ooh.
exciting. It sounds, I'm not very far into it yet, it sounds like this game has an absolutely buck wild history.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, the thing that stuck out to me is in their like the company's like first iteration, right after they first published D&D, they had the FBI called on them twice. Once because someone witnessed like a Nerf ambush and called the cops because they saw someone with a gun in a window.
Yeah.
And another time because somebody found a scrap of paper from like a game developer that had something along the lines of like, go and assassinate this person.
Oh my god.
And they got the FBI called on them again. Oh, and when is this episode coming up? September?
September!
Sophie, what are we reading in September?
Yeah! We are reading Gideon the Ninth because Nona the Ninth comes out so soon.
Oh man.
And I am so excited.
Yay.
I'm so excited. I don't know that I've said this 1,000 times. I don't know if either of you are going to like Gideon the Ninth.
That's
I
fine.
feel like I will place money on Hannah liking it and Sam not liking it.
Oh yeah.
Aw, that's fair.
Well,
I'm
maybe.
convinced that I'm going to like it, so if I
I
don't like it,
think-
I'm going to be disappointed.
Yeah, there's like, you literally just have to get to the part where the plot starts.
Uh-huh.
And then the plot starts and you're like, oh, now I get what this book is about. But up until
man.
that point, it's a little dicey.
Okay.
That's fine.
I've been wanting to read this book for so long, so I'm glad you're
Me
finally making us do
too.
it.
Yeah,
I'm
maybe you'll
pretty
both
sure
like
I
it.
talked
don't know.
about this book in like one of our early Midlight episodes.
Yeah, like one of our first 2 episodes you talked about it.
Yeah, and I still haven't read it.
Yeah, because you mentioned it, I read it and then
Yeah,
haven't shown
wow.
up about it since.
Yeah.
Amazing.
See, I did you good.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Well, if you liked this chapter of Midlight Crisis, consider rating and reviewing us on Spotify or your podcatcher of choice. You can talk to us and find fun-related content on social media. We are at Midlight Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and I swear to God, we're going to start posting TikToks again. And all chapters of the show thus far are available on our website, midlightpod.podbean.com, and on YouTube.
And now we hear from Ajihad about Twitter. Don't speak flippantly or without thought, because your words will have impact for beyond what you intend.
We should send that to Ellen of Just the Zoo of Us. She of the C. elegans drama.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the C. elegans.
Sorry, Ellen.
Never forget the C. elegans.
Never
Oh
forget.
my.